Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with the Marvel Legends Punisher, which across the pond over in the US is a Walgreens exclusive, and if that leaves you wondering how I got my grubby mitts on one here in the UK, well, wonder no more, I got it from Kapow Toys. On the side packaging art is the Punisher striking a pose and brandishing a weapon in each hand and rendered in keeping with his iconic costume in black and white. Then on the packaging back, his bio reads, "A ruthless vigilante Punisher single-handedly takes down crime one bad guy at a time." Then pictured is the action figure itself, which as I said is singularly being released as a store exclusive, yet the packaging back also pictures the Spider-Man, Absorbing Man, Build-A-Figure wave. So here is the Punisher out of packaging, hot on the heels of the previous Walgreens exclusive Namor, the two even sharing some parts, with Punisher sharing even more parts with the Wolf Cap from the Red Skull Onslaught wave, both being the body first used for Grim Reaper. Maybe it's because Hasbro haven't yet plundered this body mold the way they have Bucky Cap, or perhaps the various additions here made to it, but to me it's fresh looking. Taking a closer look and jumping out immediately to me is the deco of his belt and harness, which have had a paint wash applied to give it some shading and convey a worn-in look. Having recently reviewed the X-Men Legends Deadpool, and that's a deco that in contrast is even more noticeably absent on his belt and harness. Wade, you should be jealous. Beyond that, the rest is kept stark in contrast between black and white. His costume, just as the character himself, has no place for grey areas and is inclined to the extremes. Looking at his iconic skull logo, and unfortunately mine has a speck of black paint, so in store you might want to sort through to make sure you're getting the best deco. That speck does make me think how the white boots and gloves are not especially practical for a guy handling lots of guns and no doubt spray back of blood from his victims. Makes me think when not punishing, he must spend the rest of his time laundering. But I like that with this figure they've taken ownership of a classic comic book look, essentially a superhero spandex bodysuit. Other Legends versions have gone for more modern interpretations with a more militarized look, combat fatigues and the like. If I'm honest, I appreciate the character as an icon, but he's a character I've not really invested in, him always seeming one note to me. The most I've liked Punisher is the storyline which saw the Punisher hacked to pieces by Daken, and said pieces then being stitched back together to form Frankencastle, yet one that Punisher purists probably hate. I won't hold my breath, but I'd still love to get a Legends Frankencastle one day. But ticking the box with this action figure is that the influence from Jim Lee's artwork is clear, Jim Lee being one of my favourite comic artists and the man responsible for the signature look of the X-Men in the 90s. But before that awesomeness, he penciled Punisher the War Journal, which this figure harks back to with things like the addition of the headband. I kind of always wished it was a red headband, but that was already taken by Rambo, the two characters sharing some parallels beyond their headband sporting, I suppose. I get with Punisher the white headband ties in the black and white colour combination of the costume, yet its addition does strike me as Frank Castle being more fashion-minded than you'd think a hardened vigilante might be. So yeah, the headband might bother some. If that's you, he does come with a second interchangeable head. This second head has a more neutral expression, yet butchers it up with the real subtle deco of stubble, and beyond that the deco does seem superior to that first head with a slightly different shade for his lips. The eyes look a little more crisp, on mine at least, and I think they even have some shading around them, creating a tired yet wired look. Checking out the articulation, and both the heads rotate side to side and they're both able to look down the same amount and then also look up the same amount too. At the shoulder, his arms rotate and then they hinge up this far. There's upper arm rotation followed by a double jointed elbow. Then at the wrists, his hands rotate and they hinge, moving down and also up. He has waist rotation hidden under his belt there. But of course, rotating the waist, the teeth on the belt then become mismatched with those on the body, and then he also has an ab crunch which moves this far forward and then this far back. At the hips, his legs move out to the side this far, they move this far forward, but not really back. Then he has upper leg rotation followed by a double jointed knee and then rotation at the top of the boot there, and his feet are hinge moving backwards but not really forwards, and he has that crazy ankle rocker pivot that I love, with this being his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. Finally, here is the trio of weapons that comprise his arsenal, two of which you may recognize as coming from Deadpool's weapons locker, first being this gun, albeit white to match the Punisher, and with a yellow band of deco around the barrel there. And then the two clearly shop at the same bazooka store, if such a thing exists, although Punisher's has a better deco with the black tip at the end and then the black sight and a yellow band around it. Of course, it's minus the boxing glove, because Punisher, not much of a joker. But just as with Deadpool, the bazooka can be stowed away into the hole on the Punisher's back. Then this is my personal favourite of his weapons. I really like the black plastic and green deco combo. Does look familiar to me. Has it popped up in Legends before? And now armed to the hilt, and all things considered, this Punisher follows really nicely in Namor's footsteps. These Walgreens exclusives were off to a solid start with Agent Venom. Then things got a little shaky with both Ant-Man and first appearance Daredevil. But like Namor with this Punisher, Hasbro have resisted just banging one out for the sake of it to make a quick buck, and it seems really considered to me. Until I get my Frankencastle, it will stand as the essential Punisher in my collection. Anyway, if you missed my look at the Walgreens exclusive Namor, you can click this video to catch up. Please give this video a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.